Got a sweet goodnight, baby text from my wife while watching her walk into a club with another man. She kissed him. Laughed. Then looked up and saw me standing there. Her smile vanished. As I left the diner, I noticed a familiar figure across the street entering a club. It was my wife, dressed in an outfit I hadn't seen before. She was laughing, holding hands with a man I didn't recognize. They kissed passionately before disappearing inside. I stood there, stunned, the goodnight, baby text still open on my phone. I followed them into the club, my heart pounding. The music was loud, and the lights were dim, but I spotted them at the bar, laughing and touching. I approached them, and when my wife saw me, her smile vanished. She looked like she had seen a ghost. The man looked confused. We left the club without a word. At home, she tried to explain, saying it was a mistake, that she had been feeling neglected. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. The woman I loved, the woman who had just sent me a loving text, had been cheating on me. I moved out the next day. I needed time to think, to process what had happened. Friends and family were supportive, but the pain was overwhelming. I filed for divorce a month later. It's been a year now, and while the pain has lessened, the betrayal still lingers. She didn't try to stop me when I packed my things. That silence said more than any apology could. I moved into a motel on the edge of town. Nothing fancy. Just a place with a door that locked and a bed that didn't remind me of her. I still had her contact name in my phone as my love. I couldn't bring myself to change it yet. I kept staring at that last message, "Goodnight, baby Redheart," like it was some kind of cruel joke written just for me. 3 days passed before she tried to reach out. A text, "Can we talk?" I didn't respond. The next morning, my younger sister, who lives 2 blocks away from us, called me in a panic. "You need to get over here now," she said. "There's a car parked outside your house. He's back." The man from the club. I pulled up 10 minutes later and saw him. Leaning on his car, arms crossed, like he had a right to be there. My ex-wife-to-be, was standing at the door, in pajamas, holding a mug. Casual, like it was Sunday morning coffee and not a betrayal in flesh and blood. I parked but didn't get out. I just sat there and watched them talk. Laugh. She touched his arm. The same way she used to touch mine when we were out with friends. I drove off. That night, I got drunk alone for the first time in years. When I finally answered her text 2 days later, I told her I'd only talk if it was about the divorce. She agreed. We met in a neutral place, a park near the lake, where people walk their dogs and pretend life isn't complicated. She showed up in a coat I bought her for our 5th anniversary. That stung more than I thought it would. She said his name was Derek. He was just a friend from her gym at first. Then things got out of hand. She admitted they had been seeing each other for a couple of months. The night at the club wasn't their first date. It was their 5th. So what was that text about? I asked. "You told me goodnight while walking into a club with another man." Her eyes welled up. I felt guilty. Guilty. That's what love looks like when it rots. I told her I was done, and I meant it. She didn't cry. She just nodded like she already knew. 2 weeks later, her brother, Mike, called me. I hadn't talked to him since before all this. He sounded tense. "You still staying at that motel off Roosevelt?" "Yeah." "Why?" "You might want to keep your eyes open. Derek's not who he says he is." "What are you talking about?" "He's not just some gym guy. He's got a record. Assault. Fraud. He's not stable, man." That was the first twist. I dug a little. Asked a cop friend to run his name. Turns out Derek had been arrested 3 times in Indiana. Last charge? Domestic violence. All sealed up now, but the record was there. I felt sick. I called her. "You need to be careful," I said. "Derek's not who you think he is." I know, she whispered. What? I found out last week. He got angry. Broke my phone. Said I was still hung up on you. She didn't tell anyone. Didn't go to the cops. She said it was a one-time thing. I offered help. Not because I loved her, but because I didn't want to see her hurt even after everything. She refused. Said she had it under control. She didn't. 2 nights later, I got a call from Mike again. Derek had shown up drunk. Punched a hole in her wall. The neighbors called the cops. He ran. She filed a report this time. I sat in my car again, outside the house we used to live in. This time, yellow police tape flapped in the wind by the porch. It looked like something out of a bad movie. Then the second twist came. I got a call from my bank. Someone had tried to access our joint savings. The one I thought I had frozen. Derek's name popped up on the attempted login. Somehow, he had gotten her to give up the info. Maybe she was scared. Maybe she was manipulated. I don't know. I called her again. He tried to steal from me. Silence. Then she whispered, he said he'd hurt me if I didn't. Jesus. I felt that cold grip of fear again, the kind that makes your stomach hollow out. I told her to go to the police again, this time for real. I even offered to go with her. She hung up. The next day, she was gone. No one could reach her. Her phone was off. Derek's was too. Mike filed a missing persons report. It's been 4 days. I'm not sleeping. I'm waiting for another call. Another message. This time, I don't think it'll say goodnight, baby Redheart. It might just be the last message I'll ever get. The 5th day without any word from her was when I started to unravel. I kept thinking about the way she looked at me in that club, how fast her smile disappeared. Like she had been caught stealing, not like someone who was in love. That moment kept replaying in my head, and now it twisted into something darker. I drove to her mom's house in Skokie. I didn't know where else to go. Her mom answered the door, eyes red, like she hadn't slept either. She said the cops hadn't found any leads. No sightings. Her car was still in the driveway. But her phone? It pinged once. In Gary, Indiana. Gary's not a place you go to disappear safely. I asked her mom if I could look through her room. She hesitated but let me in. Nothing looked disturbed, but on the nightstand was a small black notebook. She kept journals sometimes, something she never told most people. I opened it, not knowing what I was hoping to find. What I found was not right. Inside were pages and pages of apologies. Not to me. Not to our families. But to Derek. They were written in past tense, like she already knew something was going to happen. I'm sorry I made you angry. I shouldn't have said I'd call him. I'm sorry I laughed when you got mad. I'm sorry I told Mike. Some pages were ripped out. Others had red smudges on them. Lipstick? Blood? I couldn't tell. I brought the notebook straight to the detective handling her case. They took it seriously, but I could tell they weren't hopeful. When adults go missing, especially in volatile relationships, they usually know the ending. Then I got the third twist. A voicemail. From an unknown number. It was short, distorted. A male voice. You should have left it alone. Click. That was it. No context. No location. Just static and a warning. I handed it over to the cops, and suddenly things moved faster. They pulled security footage from a gas station in Gary. She was there. 3 days ago. Looking over her shoulder constantly. Her hair was cut shorter. She looked terrified. She was alone. But what the camera didn't catch, what they only figured out by analyzing the tape later, was that Derek's truck was parked behind the station, partially hidden behind a dumpster. The tail end of his license plate matched the one from his last arrest. They started combing that area, but I couldn't sit still anymore. I drove out there myself. Gary is a rough place. The buildings are broken down, and the silence feels dangerous. I asked around at the gas station. The clerk remembered her. Said she was asking for directions to a women's shelter but left before he could give her the address. He also said a guy came in 10 minutes later, angry, pacing the aisles. He didn't buy anything. That was 4 days ago. Then the fourth twist happened. I got a message through Facebook from a fake profile. No picture. No info. Just a single message, she's safe. Don't trust the cops. Or Mike. That name, Mike, threw me. Her brother? He was the one who warned me. The one who filed the missing persons report. The one who told me to go to the cops in the first place. But now, I started remembering things I had ignored. Mike introduced her to Derek. Said he was a cool guy at my gym. I didn't think anything of it then. Why would I? Then I remembered the weird way he talked about her even before we got married. How protective he was, but not in a brotherly way. Controlling. Opinionated. He never liked me. Always said I wasn't strong enough for her. I went through my phone records. Mike had called her the night before she disappeared. Twice. Then again the next morning. But he never mentioned that to me. I confronted him. He denied everything. Said the Facebook message was probably a sick prank. But his voice changed. Something was off. The next morning, his Facebook account was gone. I reported all this to the police. They said they'd look into it. But I could tell they were overwhelmed, juggling too many cases, too many disappearing adults who didn't want to be found. I decided to dig deeper myself. I hired a private investigator. It took him 2 days to come back with something. An address in a rundown part of Hammond, Indiana. Registered to a woman named Tanya, but utilities were paid under a name that didn't exist. Alias. We drove out together. The house looked abandoned from the outside, but there were fresh tire tracks in the dirt driveway. A light flickered on and off inside, like someone forgot to screw the bulb in all the way. We knocked. No answer. But as we turned to leave, I heard something. A window shut upstairs. The PI decided to wait across the street. Stake it out. That night, he saw her. She stepped out the back, threw a bag into a trash bin, and looked around like she was being hunted. He called me right away. I got there in 20 minutes. I didn't call the cops. Not yet. I waited until I saw her again. When she came out, I stepped into the alley. She froze when she saw me. Don't scream, I said. I'm here to help. She didn't scream. She just cried. We got in my car. She was shaking. He's been using Mike, she said. They've been in on it together. I didn't know until too late. Mike gave him everything, where I'd be, my accounts, even our security questions. He said if I ever went to the cops, he'd make it look like I ran away. He had pictures of me, bad ones. Stuff I never agreed to. I asked her why she didn't reach out sooner. I didn't trust anyone. I thought maybe you were part of it, too. That's what Derek told me. Said you hired someone to watch me? Jesus. None of this made sense anymore. It felt like my whole life had been rewritten by someone else. We're hiding out now. I told her we'd go to the police together, again. But we need proof. Real proof. Mike still thinks she's missing. Derek probably thinks she's dead or in hiding. But we've got something now. The bag she threw in the trash? Inside it was a burner phone. And on it? Recordings. Conversations between Derek and Mike. Conversations that could bury them both. But only if we survive long enough to use them. We didn't go to the police right away. Not because we didn't want to. But because we knew if we did, the moment Derek or Mike caught wind of it, everything would spiral. They'd disappear. Or worse, they'd come for her. Or for me. So we planned. Quietly. Carefully. I called in a favor from an old friend, Thomas, a tech guy I'd known since college, someone who owed me big. He helped us duplicate the files from the burner phone. He cleaned up the audio, made it crystal clear. And when we played it back that first time, sitting in my motel room with the cheap wallpaper peeling behind us, it was all there. Mike's voice, "She'll do what I say. She always has." Derek, "What if she runs again?" Mike, "She won't. And if she does? We'll make it look like she was trying to ruin you. No one's gonna believe her. Not after what we've got." Derek, "And the husband?" Mike, "He's soft. Always has been. He'll break. And when he does, we make sure he's the crazy one." I felt sick. She just cried. Quiet, broken sobs, like someone who had cried so much she didn't even have tears left. I reached for her hand, and for the first time since this all started, she didn't pull away. We knew we couldn't just turn the audio in. We needed a public scene. A place where their reactions would be caught live. Where denial wasn't an option. Mike was always a sucker for big family dinners. Every year, he hosted a Friendsgiving in early November, packed with coworkers, mutual friends, even his church group. He loved playing the good guy. The doting older brother. The successful, God-fearing man. We RSVP'd through a burner account. No one knew we were coming. That night, we showed up just as dinner was being served. The room was full of laughter, warm lights, and the smell of roasted turkey. Mike was wearing a beige sweater, all smiles, carving meat like he was auditioning for a cooking show. Then he saw us. And that smile cracked. "What the hell?" he started, stepping away from the table. I raised my hand. "Don't," I said. People were looking. Conversations dropped off one by one. "I'm sorry to interrupt," I said. "But I think everyone here deserves to know something about your host." I pulled out my phone and played the recording. The room was silent. Then the voices echoed out, his. Derek's. The whole twisted plan. People gasped. Some looked confused. One woman dropped her wine glass. Mike's face turned white. Then red. He stormed toward me. "You piece of," "Touch me," I warned, "and you'll be in handcuffs before dessert." The pastor from his church stood up. "Is this real?" "Very," I said. And then my ex-wife stepped forward. Her voice shook, but she was steady. "You let him hurt me," she said to Mike. "You knew. You helped." He looked around the room. No one came to his defense. Derek wasn't there that night. But Mike didn't know that we had already sent the recordings to the police. Derek had been picked up earlier that afternoon. We'd given them just enough time to listen before the dinner. Within 10 minutes, the cops arrived at the house. Mike tried to run. Didn't get far. The confrontation had been public, messy, and devastating. He screamed all the way to the cruiser. The guests didn't know what to say. Some whispered. Others stared at us like we were ghosts. As we walked out, I heard one woman murmur, "He always seemed so normal." The days that followed were a blur. The trial didn't take long. The evidence was damning. The recordings. The digital trail. The pictures Derek had threatened her with. They all told the same story. Derek pled out. Got a few years. Mike didn't. He fought it. Denied it all. But the jury believed the audio. The messages. Her bruises. Her testimony. He got 8 years. In the aftermath, people apologized. Friends who had distanced themselves during the scandal now wanted to reconnect. Her mother cried when she saw her again. But not everything could be fixed. Some bridges stayed burned. We talked, she and I. A lot. At first, just to get through the aftermath. Then about us. I asked her once, why him? Why Derek? She hesitated. I felt invisible, she said. You were working so much. I was lonely. Then Mike introduced us. And I thought, maybe someone finally saw me. It cut deep. I wasn't innocent in the cracks that formed between us. But I didn't deserve what followed. Neither did she. We didn't get back together. We didn't even try. But we made peace. She got therapy. Moved to a new city. She sends updates sometimes. Just photos. Sunsets. Her dog. A beach. I stayed in Chicago. I took a break from nursing. Started teaching EMT classes. Something quieter. The motel room is long gone. So is the pain, mostly. Some days, I wake up and wonder how I didn't see it all sooner. How it got so far before the truth came out. But most days, I just feel free. I learned a lot about betrayal. About the masks people wear, even in families. About how deep control can run. But I also learned this: truth doesn't stay buried forever. It claws its way out. Even if it takes you down with it. And me? I'm not healed. But I'm not broken anymore either. I'm somewhere in the middle. And for now, that's enough.